Hi guys, welcome back to the Killer Storyteller podcast with me, Rachel Lynch, million copy crime fiction author from the UK, coming to you from London, and with me as always, coming from Melbourne, Australia, is Christy Horn. Morning, Christy. Well, it's evening for you, isn't it?
It is evening. G'day, Rach, and hello to everyone. Yep, I'm coming to you from Melbourne, Australia, in the Southern Hemisphere. It's great to see you, Rach. How are you doing, and what's been happening on your side of the world?
Well, we've had a few heat waves actually, so that's nice. But the thing is that with British people, as you know, we moan when it's cold, and then when it's hot, we moan even more. We've all been told to sleep downstairs on Wednesday, which is a bit odd. So big standout for me over the last couple of weeks is the Harrogate Crime Festival, which is in a gorgeous Yorkshire town built of old Yorkshire stone. It's just gorgeous, and the crime festival has been going for years. Val McDermott, the Scottish crime writer, is sort of the main sort of organizer, the main sort of brains behind it. It's brilliant. It's great. I get to meet up with loads of other writers. So I come out of my cave, and we have such a laugh. It's just brilliant. I had a really nice time. But the thing is, I stayed in the Hilton as well, and they've got a pancake machine.
Your photos look fantastic, and I could see that you'd hooked up with like heaps and heaps of your fellow colleagues. So it must have been a fun time.
Oh, it was fab, Christy. What have you been up to?
Well, it's still winter here in Australia, but I've been super busy as well and loving the playing around with the Spotify playlist. We have created on Spotify a Killer Storyteller playlist, and have to say thanks to all those people that have shared all those songs that they wanted us to add in, which is great. Thank you. And we've also added in a bunch of hottest 100 Aussie songs that it's just been on the local ABC radio. So I've chucked in a whole bunch there as well. But also, we're going to add these songs onto our YouTube playlist as well. So, because I know not everybody's on Spotify.
Yeah, brilliant. And I know that people often ask me how can I get it because they're not on Spotify or on YouTube, on all sorts of different platforms. That's amazing. And also I had my package from Australia with my coffee mug and my just stunning diary and my koala. I've eaten the chocolate, obviously. It's the first thing I did. These mugs
Right.
are just amazing. And Anthony from Zane's, what a legend. Where's that? Is that a local coffee shop for you?
Yeah, so I catch a train to work, and his coffee shop is right at the train station in Glenferrie in Hawthorn. So it's a little hole in the wall. He's been there for a really long time. He's such a sweetheart, and I had this idea of like I'm going to go to the coffee shop and Anthony will help me do something fun with the mugs. So, but we did it in one take, but. There was this period of time where we were just like going, humdy dumdy dum. And then it was so funny. He's a great guy, and the coffee there is absolutely brilliant. So yeah, when you come to Australia, I'll take you to meet Anthony. He's a legend.
Oh, definitely. And we've got to thank Tilly for my daughter, haven't we, for the
Yes.
editorial on that video. But the
Yeah.
outtake was absolutely fantastic. Sort of stood there going, "Yeah, I'm making coffee."
Yeah, it was really, really cool. So I absolutely love that. And Rach, you might not know this about me, but I'm a stats person. I love numbers, right? I won't go into too much detail, but I did some number crunching recently. And we're just so thrilled with all of the downloads, the views of our social posts, the growth of our Insta page, and the best thing ever is the reader engagement. It's just so excellent. There are many, many, many podcasts out there, and there are lots of crime podcasts, true crime. There's crime fiction, but there's none that are just like this with the reader and the author. So this one's quite unique. But we have to say thank you to each and everyone who's listening, reading along, and joining in on the fun. It really is appreciated. So thank you very, very much.
It's incredible, and the messages we get, from readers, like pretty much daily. I mean, I got one this morning saying that they were halfway through The Rich, and
Yeah.
it's just fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah, it is really, really cool. Oh, brilliant. All right, Rach, The Rich.
Are you okay? Do you need to lie down?
The Rich is the title, sex, lies, murder, and some people think they can get away with anything. All right, so now there's a little music break. I'll cut this little bit out. All right, over to you.
So in this episode, we decided to switch things up a little bit because, you know, in the Kellys, in quite a few of the Kellys, sometimes it's quite obvious early on who the killer or killers are, and it's a why done it rather than a who done it. Some of them, you know, it's kind of obvious about halfway through, maybe 3/4 the way through, before Kelly gets her guy or gal, and normally we say up front that we're not going to do any spoilers, we're not going to give anything away. But the thing is with The Rich is that it really is a whodunit, and I held on for as long as I possibly could until the final reveal. And so what we've decided to do is we're going to have a special sealed section right at the end. So if you haven't read the book or you're not quite at the end yet, we won't share the ending. We'll give you loads of warning, but we're going to discuss it because we just have to. And like I say, we'll give you plenty of
Yep,
notice,
yep,
but we need to address this ending.
absolutely. As a reader of The Rich, I need to address it. I need some therapy from you, mate. It's just I can't believe it. I can't believe it, but I need to talk it through with you. So, perhaps before we get into the book, Rach, you can give us a little quick summary of the book.
It took me quite a while to pull this book around. I was writing it for quite a long time before I decided on, you know, who did it, the actual blend of characters, how the publisher took to it, the title, the whole sort of package really. So it unlike a Kelly, but as part of a series that came quite smoothly. It took a bit of pulling around, and so I think all in all, with all the revisions, it probably took about a year to like give birth to. That's how it felt. It was actually published in 2023, so 2 years ago, which seems a lifetime ago now. And as always, I was in my office overlooking my garden, writing it. And yeah, the theme to me, I mean, we're going to obviously talk about this, Christy. But my take as the writer was that this book is about damage. Um, but please give me I don't know how you've done this, but please give me your 100-word summary.
This was really, really tough, but here goes. Dr. Alex Moore is a high-end psychologist in Cambridge, surrounded by wealthy clients, broken families, and dangerous secrets. When Monika Thorpe, wife of best friend Tony, is found dead, the whole privileged world begins to unravel. Her clients are all hiding something, and somehow Alex is the one person who can see how they're all connected. Secrets from college days resurface, affairs and drug deals come to light, and the brutal and violent murder reveals a deeply chilling truth. The tagline of the book is "Some people think they can get away with anything."
Amazing. I love
I,
that.
this actually could have been, quite a lot longer, but I had to keep it
Yeah.
nice and short. So
Have you thought about blurb writing as a career?
no, but yeah, maybe.
But honestly, writing a synopsis like that is so hard. And you've
So
absolutely nailed it. But
yeah, oh, thanks.
for me, it's all about the struggle between the characters and how they've damaged one another. So in that intro, you're talking about the central character and then how she's connected to all of these other characters, and it's like a slow reveal of an unraveling of how they're all connected to one another. But through all that, it's about how they're all individually damaged through trauma. So bullying, teenage secrets, family deception, betrayal, duplicity, manipulation, tragedy. And in the middle of it all is this celebrated psychologist, Dr. Alex Moore, who's trying to balance her professional life, and she's this eminent award-winning psychologist, with her personal life, which is actually unraveling through the book, isn't it? And
Yes,
she's the
absolutely.
glue. she's the glue in the story, and everybody is connected through her. So, should we talk about her first?
Let's do
What were your
that.
thoughts on
Yeah.
Alex?
Yeah, we've got to talk about Alex first because she's a mum. She's got a busy job with her practice. She's keeping the whole household together. She's got she's like the master puppeteer. She's really really well connected with her kids, and her kids absolutely love her. She's got a really solid relationship with her kids, which comes through in the book. We'll talk about that in a little while. Um, but the thoughts in her head, the thoughts of her husband and the loathing of her husband, I don't know, she's incredible, but she's like the master puppeteer. That's how I saw her.
And I think that she deals with other people's damage, doesn't she? She deals with other people's issues, but actually she's really quite damaged too. And I think that's one of the things that inspired me to write this book is that it was my research into psychology because I wanted to get into a psychological thriller, and so I started with the basics. What is it that make people do what they do? And so that led me to research into things like post-traumatic stress disorder,
Right.
personality disorders, and also complex post-traumatic stress disorder as well. And Carrie is a great example of that. So is Henry. So childhood trauma and how if my fascination with the human mind and what happens perhaps in a child's life that shapes them as an adult, and makes their character, and why people snap
Mm.
in that moment. That absolutely intrigues me. So when I'm watching true crime or I'm reading true crime, often I've just contradicted myself, but often they go back to what happened in their childhood. So there's lots of references in this, in the book about this
Yep.
with reference to Carrie, Henry, and Grace in particular.
Yep.
And they're kind of her main clients, aren't they?
Yep.
And that's who I sort of explore that through. So I created three very, very different clients. Um, some hard, some soft, male, female, some with who would be considered incredibly successful in the corporate world. Some would be considered a failure because they may be, unemployed, and all of these sort of, labels that are bandied around. And so that it was through them that I sort of explored that through their dialogue and through their actions. So just thinking about those three clients
Yep.
of Alex's, Christy, how did you react to Carrie, Henry, and Grace? Because I think some of them are like Marmite.
What, you either like it or you
Oh,
don't?
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
It's a
it's not
sorry,
Vegemite.
Vegemite. Yeah,
Vegemite.
yeah. What the hell is she? I know it's Sunday morning over there, but what's she doing? She just had a piece of toast. We're talking about psychology.
It's gone straight to Vegemite and Marmite. Oh my god, you're a classic. I I loved I love those hang on, those 3 people that you're talking about. I really felt for them in different ways. Like, I really felt for Henry, and, the struggles that he's going through and how he's trying to do so well to fit into society and, try to be normal. But they're doing so well till they're not. But as we dig deeper, into the book, you come to understand what's happening. But I really felt like they had this sense, like they had this, like a filter on. All of them did. So they're all sort of, pretending and putting out their best sort of versions of themselves. But behind the scenes, they were like trying so hard or crumbling or just keeping it together. And these 3 characters, they don't even know it, but they're all linked
Yeah,
as well.
yeah.
So, of course, we're going to get into that a little while on down the track. But I felt for them all in different ways.
Mm,
Carrie, she's trying so hard to not drink, not take
yeah,
drugs.
yeah, yeah.
And
Stay away
then
from her demons. Yeah.
and she does so well for so long. So my
Mm.
heart kind of went out to all of these 3 characters. They're so complex.
Yeah, and actually thinking about, their trauma and their vulnerability. Alex is a really good therapist. She one of my favorite moments is when
Yeah,
she gets
that's right.
Grace, yeah, to say, she's nudging her and slowly through the session, and then at the end, Grace says, and I can just imagine her sat there, really sort of small and quiet, saying, "It wasn't my fault," and it's a huge
Yeah.
moment for her. So Alex is she's good at what she does professionally.
Yeah, that's right. When you just said that, something just popped into my mind, and it's the chair that she's sitting in, the wingback chair
Yeah,
that her and Jeremy reupholstered
yeah,
together, in the early days, and how much
yeah.
Carrie hates that chair.
And I guess that's. I mean, this is the thing. This podcast could probably last for about 8 hours, couldn't it? We'll try and rein ourselves in,
All
but
right.
it's like that chair and Jeremy and Alex's past is everything is sort of a gilded cage, isn't it? Like Carrie's life, and for example, and
Yeah.
things start to crumble. Everything seems perfect, like the city of Cambridge. This leafy, historical, beautiful city, and things just start to fall apart, just like that wingback chair where all the clients sit.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. All right. So I am really going to try and keep to the notes because we've got we've got like a really good flow here. But this book is so good, and it's all your fault because I want to talk about absolutely everything.
Should we talk about the opening?
Oh, the opening pages of the murder, and we are right into it. And there's a quote on page 2, and I'll just read it out. It says, "At least her eyes were closed. It was small mercy not to have to stare into those deep hazelnut spheres that performed magic tricks on every man they turned towards." And that was from The Killer, right? That's right at the very, very beginning. And I popped one of those quotes up on our socials, but we're right into it, Rach.
Yeah, yeah. I think I've over the course of the books that I've read, I've written now, I've really come to enjoy this sort of signature style, which is like
Yeah,
starting with a good shocking opener, because it really slaps the reader in the face, and it
yeah,
just
yeah.
gives you what this book is about. So the reader knows straight away this horrific thing has happened, and the rest of the book is going to be who this person is and why she died and who did it. So I love doing that. And just a mention on where she was found in that first opening chapter. Do you know anything about Cambridge at all, Christy? I mean,
Um,
you've heard of it.
I know, the Red Hen is a gastro pub there.
Brilliant. That's all you need to know. Do Vegemite on toast.
Fish and chips. No, I have been to the UK. I've just been to London, but I think isn't there a big university there?
It's Cambridge University. I think Cambridge University is actually the oldest university in the world. It's
Okay, so I don't know
Oxford
a
is a
lot.
little bit, yeah. Oxford is a little bit younger. So basically, Cambridge is just got these incredible colleges that are just stunning, medieval and sort of early modern, like cathedrals. Really, that's what they look like, and it's a
Yeah, right.
beautiful, stunning city. It's about 20 minutes away from my house, so
Oh,
I
right.
decided to set it there because it is this sort of vision of perfection and tradition and propriety, and so having all of this going on under the surface was it was for me it was a perfect setting. Um,
Fantastic.
yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Well, when I come to the UK and we walk all the fells in the Lake District, we'll go and visit Cambridge too.
Nowhere's ever too far away here.
Alrighty, we are dropped straight into a regular morning in a household with 3 kids. Alex is getting ready for work. Her inner monologue is already in overdrive. The way she describes her husband, Jeremy, sets the tone instantly. There's the clear loathing, and it's obvious he's an alcoholic, right? The kitchen scene, breakfast, there's instructions flying from mum, left, right, and centre, and it feels like a regular, relatable morning. I can visualise it in my mind. but with a dark undercurrent simmering beneath the surface.
Yeah, so she is just a regular mom, and this is the first time we meet her. She clearly can't stand her husband. There's clearly a lot of water under that bridge. She gets out of bed, doesn't she? And he's got his wine glass still on the side, and he rolls over and farts. He lets one rip, and it's really repulsive. So instantly, and that was on purpose, because instantly the reader is turned off Jeremy. And he's wondering, how Alex is holding it all together. She's got 3 kids. She's clearly a busy professional. She's got 3 kids. She's got James, 18, who knows everything, and obviously gets a new tattoo every time he learns something else. And then you've got Lydia in the middle, haven't you? Who's a very sort of, that stereotype of middle child. She struggles. She's got mental health issues, and she's bulimic, so she's struggling with that. And then you've got young Ewan, who's 15, and struggling with his sort of place in the world as well. And I love writing these scenes because it's that sort of insertion of normality.
Yep.
And so straight away you're wondering, oh, okay, well, this is normal. What's
Yep.
well, normalish? A typical sort of busy family with their issues. What's going to happen next?
Yeah. The characters are really deep and complex, and some things only come to light right at the very end of the book. But every single character is linked somehow, either through therapy with Alex or affairs back in the day at college. Um, it's like watching a puzzle kind of slowly slot together in slow motion. Rach, was it tricky keeping all of these connections straight as you wrote it, or do you build the web first? It was like 6 degrees of dysfunction. In fact, we could talk about all of these. There's so many character combinations, and I've just put down like dot points of about 18 dot points. I'm not going to read them all. It's Alex's relationship with her kids, Alex and her husband, Alex and Tony, Alex and blah, 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 blah. But yeah, tell us, Rach.
Yeah, it was. It was a real sort of. I was going to say spider's web, but it's not really, is it? It's like a ball of wool, and you kind of just have to, throw the ball of wool, and it gradually sort of unravels. But yeah, it was pretty mind bending for some time, and I think this was one of the hardest books of mine to write. Or to get to the stage that I was actually happy for it to go to print. That I'll sort of say that.
Okay.
I think because I had quite a few editors who had, their own views, and we sort of talked about maybe which was the best direction to go in. Should it have that ending? Shouldn't it? So there was a lot of discussion over this, and the maybe the direction that it should go in, and all of these relationships were so fundamental to that. And yeah, so I did. I got sometimes I could have just thrown the computer across the room.
Wow,
Um,
this is so
yeah,
interesting, Rach. So having all of those editors like put in their kind of spin on it, that must have been so hard for you to kind of like continue on, or like, no, 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 it's my book. This is the way I want it
yeah.
to be.
Yeah,
Wow.
it was interesting, and I kind of just had to always go back to my gut feeling, because everybody does have an opinion when you're going through these stages. Like your agent might have an opinion, and then your copy editor might suggest something. Your line editor might say, "Oh well, actually, I think that might be a little bit shocking," or you could make that more shocking, or "Oh, that humor there." Maybe isn't in the right place, and then somebody else will say, oh, that dark sense of humor, you've got to lean into that. So I had to really step back and go, okay, what is it that I want here? And I'm not talking about big changes, because obviously then
Yep.
it wouldn't be my book, but we're just talking about nuance here, feelings, and little sort of touches. So but for me, the relationship balance had to be just right, had to be authentic, had to be believable. Every little nuance. So Ewan's pain that he was feeling,
Mm,
his teenage
mm.
angst, his relationship with Brandon, um, uh, Alex's loathing of her husband, how you can almost taste it,
Yeah,
and I used, in those scenes, I used a lot of food, a lot of booze, a lot of smells, a lot of tastes,
yeah,
really, really focusing on the senses. And then Carrie's internal battles, with herself. So
yeah.
it was a real balancing act. Yeah.
Wow, that must be confusing too with all of those other not noises, but all those other, people coming at you. Yeah. Oh, please, let's talk a bit more about Jeremy, also known as the walking cloud of chemicals and the worst husband ever. Between the thesis, the farting, and Alex hiding in the garage, sitting on a box of wine, he's both hilarious and repulsive. Classic line. Hang on, there's a classic line. Planet Jeremy. It must be nice to live there. Your sense of
Yeah.
humour comes through, Rach. Um, was he always written to be this tragic mess, or did he evolve with each draft? Or I mean, how much fun was he to write?
Yeah, yeah, loads of fun. I did lean into that, and the dark humour that sort of, scattered throughout it. I really sort of lent into that, and I think that, when I write a first draft, it can be a little bit of a mess, and I
Mhm.
think that it's only after I've written that first draft that I get clarity, and then that's when I start to lean into people like Jeremy and think, oh God, let's, because he would roll over and fart because he's hungover, right? And
Yeah,
she would be trying to get away from him. She's had a long day at work. The last thing she needs is to listen to his, self pity. He's so
yeah. He's
narcissistic
hopeless.
and
Yeah,
indulgent in himself, and she's holding everything together. So I can imagine her just closing off.
yeah. And
So,
he's sorry, interrupting.
no, go on.
He sleeps in the pool room quite often, and there's one scene where she goes in, actually she covers him with a sheet so he wouldn't get cold. It's like, oh.
Yeah,
So
she's still sort of in mum mode, isn't she? And I
yeah,
think that's part of the tragedy is that Jeremy is actually another kid. She's looking after
yes,
him. The romance and the marriage is completely dead,
yeah,
and she's actually just now looking after him.
yeah.
Um,
There's
but I don't feel sorry for him in any way. There's nothing redeeming about him.
no, and I'm the
Utter
same as you.
tragedy. What do you
At the
think?
end
Yeah,
at the end of the book, I did not feel sorry for him. I felt sorry for him because he was such a dickhead and a
yeah,
bit of a loser, sorry.
yeah.
But, yeah, he was just so hopeless. But, Tony, Sophie, who we find out Sophie or Sarah?
Sarah,
Sarah, excuse me, and
they're
Jeremy
old
and
friends.
Alex,
Yeah,
yeah, they all went to uni together, so that's
yeah.
why they're all really close mates. So, and you'll find that out as you're reading the book. But at the end, I didn't feel sorry for him at all.
No.
No. But anyway, we're gonna get to that bit in a little while. But
Mm.
Rach, there's this absolutely beautiful, gorgeous thread running through the book where you describe Alex as the lioness, protecting her cubs, her 3 kids. And there's that Serengeti photo in the walkway of the house. The spade moment with Ewan, it's primal. Did the idea of fierce motherhood guide the plot for you?
Yeah, I really loved doing that because I kind of channeled my inner, lioness. And I think I was watching something with the kids, a nature program, and it just that primal protection mechanism that the mother will do anything to protect the children, and that is obviously a really strong theme running through the book because she's got to do it with all 3. Well, I say she's got to. There's no obligation there at all. It is completely instinctual, and there's never any question that she won't protect them, and that dictates her behaviour throughout the whole book. It explains everything, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And I just loved. There was a couple of years ago when this had just come out. There was an English teacher who was a crime fan. She was at Harrogate, and we got chatting, and she was reading it, and she actually contacted me when she'd finished, and she said she asked me if she could use that metaphor with her A-level English students, the lioness metaphor. So I was
Alright.
absolutely blown away. I that was just such a lovely moment for me.
Oh, how fantastic. That's
Yeah,
like a real honour.
yeah, yeah,
Oh,
massively.
that's
Yeah,
really lovely. The previous question leads into this one, but there were many sweet moments with her kids, Alex and her kids, and especially in the car where she's got like a captive audience. So on page 145, there's Alex and Ewan, and they're discussing Monica and how Dad calls her a gold digger. And also when Alex picks up Lydia from school and she says, "I'm sorry, Mummy," and you can hear it. It was really sweet, and they're both tender moments. And this is kind of typical of any family. Like that's a real standout moment. That was a real standout moment for me because it was really tender.
Yeah, thanks, Christy. That means the world to me. And I think that, I do over the Kelly books and in a lot of my books, I do like to have teenage characters. And I think that my relationship with my teenagers really sort of shape this. So I think teenagers, I feel quite strongly about this. I feel as though teenagers get a really bad rap. And I think, they are just products of their environment. And that, if they're kicking off and they're acting out, it's because of something that is happening in their lives. I don't think any teenager is inherently bad. When I was a school teacher, I taught secondary, high school, and there's always a way to get into a teenager's life. There's always a way in. Like they might be kicking off in maths, or they might be acting out in geography, but there's always one subject that will open up a relationship. There's and you never know what's going on in their personal lives.
Mm.
And I think Alex is really good at this because somebody once said to me years ago that if you want to talk to a teenage boy, you go for a drive, because you're not looking at each other, and so
Yeah.
they don't feel under the spotlight. And they're much more likely to open up. And I think it's true of a lot of teenagers. If you're on like a drive and you're both facing forward, and it can be quite it's not an intimidating environment, and she
Yeah.
sort of drops these questions in, doesn't she? And that's
Yeah.
when she gets quite a lot of information out of them, and the result is that they trust her. Perhaps her relationship with Lydia is a bit more complicated, but certainly that's how she gets Ewan to open up, and he trusts her. And
Yeah.
yeah, I've definitely channeled my relationship with my teenagers that are 20 and 18 now. um,
Yeah.
yeah, I just
But
think they're really vulnerable, and they're given such a bad rap by society in
yeah.
general. They're
And
considered a problem, but actually I don't see them like that at all.
sorry, say that bit again.
I think teenagers are considered to be some kind of problem that we need to solve, and I don't see it like that at all.
Yeah. Out of the 3 kids, I think Ewan was probably the one that stood out to me the most. He was really vulnerable. He's a boy. He's not yet a man. He's just going through that awkward stage. He's really influenced by some of the kids that he's hanging around with, particularly his friend Noah. And he knows what's right and wrong, and he knows that. So, but he has some really lovely moments in the car with his mum, particularly on the way to Noah's house when she's dropping him off. Yeah, he opens up to his mum. So I really, I really love. I really felt for you. And I mean, Lydia and James is bloody hilarious. I think he's a funny
Yeah,
guy. And
yeah.
poor Lydia, she's like the middle child. She's like me, a bit forgotten.
Yeah, and she's a bit lost, isn't she? And I
Yeah.
think that Alex knows that she's going to have to work a bit harder to get underneath Lydia's skin, because the way that girls deal with problems is obviously very different to the way that boys do. And you think, like James, for example, you think that he's not paying any attention, but actually he sees everything.
Mm.
All three of
Yeah.
them do.
Yeah.
Which is why they're acting out, and I think that we've talked about this before when we've been doing our podcast episodes, where I really like to have that sort of, that touch of light and shade. So you have the horror. Obviously, chapter 1 is horrific, and what happened to Monika is horrific, and the
Yeah.
reasons why, and the way she was pulled about in her life as well as her death. But then, a balance where you've got family life, you've got ordinary life, you've got people having conversations, you've got people going for car drives because they can't get into their teenagers,
Yeah.
mind any other way, really. That's sort of these stolen moments. So I like writing like that. And I love it that you notice that.
Yeah. Picked up on that. It's awesome.
Mm.
Um, Carrie thinks Alex needs Botox. Grace has sorry, I'm gonna stop laughing. Grace has self-loathing, and Monica is an ex-model with a law degree, and Lydia is bulimic. Some of the characters are obsessed with image, but beneath it, they're all breaking. Was it fun to contrast that glossy exterior with the mess inside?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's what this front cover is all about, isn't it? You've got the the amazing, swimming pool, the
Yeah.
glossy, kind of magazine cover, yeah, and the multi-million pound houses in Cambridge, and people living behind their ivory towers, and actually the reality is that they're all falling apart. Um, and it's absolutely crucial, this theme of fake image.
Yep.
um, I used to work in gyms when after I stopped teaching. I was a personal trainer for a few years, and I've always wanted to sort of set scenes inside that sort of environment, because
Okay.
you almost have to be perfect before you walk through the door. It's this intimidating atmosphere where the perfection is suffocating, and that's the same as their houses and their friends and these parties that they have. It all looks perfect. Like Carrie's face, or her boob job, or
Mm.
um, any of those examples that you just flagged up. But actually underneath, they're all falling apart, and that was the whole point, yeah, behind the book, definitely. And I love that phrase about Carrie. She lives in a gilded cage,
Yep.
because even though her last bonus in the city was like £1 million, she's still not happy, is she? Doesn't
No.
matter how much money she's got, how many workouts she does, how many boob jobs she gets, how many designer clothes she's got. She's still not happy. Her
No.
demons still follow her.
Yeah, and she still can't pay for a proper, security system at her house.
Yeah, yeah. Even though she thinks she has. These kids, they're so clever.
It's so smart. Breaking into her house.
Yeah.
Oh, really felt for her, poor bugger.
I know. She fools
But
me, doesn't she? She thinks she's really good. She's almost like gaslit by the house. She
yeah,
thinks it's
God,
crazy.
yeah. There's a bit of a theme here. We've had a couple of books where the house has been the theme, and I know we've got some more coming up as well. So, oh, let's love it. The scene where the kids break into Carrie's house and steal the money, it was so tense. My heart was racing, and then the car pulls up outside, and I was genuinely anxious reading it. I just wanted to yell, "Kids, get out of the bloody house!" The tension in that moment was really instant and completely palpable. You totally nailed it, Rach. How is it for you when you're building the tension like that? And it's such a skill to be able to write that.
Oh, thanks, Christy. That's such a compliment, and I think that I kind of gauge it if it's making my heart race, and I think scenes like that, I'm feeling it, because I'm kind of imagining it. What would she do next? Well, she'd hide. She would panic where her phone was. Can she? And so it's kind of getting inside her head and feeling her panic, and I always think, if my heart's pumping and I'm feeling really tense and scared, then I've got more chance of my reader feeling that. And you've just said that you did, so that's brilliant.
Yeah.
It's awesome that you picked up on that.
I've made lots and lots of notes through the book, and I know on that page I was just like, oh my God, this is brilliant writing, because I was just like this, flicking, it was unbelievable. Um, what else was I going to say about that? No, it was just absolutely palpable. Great writing. All right, so now we're going to insert a music break. This is going too fast. Okay. Okay. Okay, as we wrap up this episode, and before we get into the sealed section, baby, let's run through our quick fire questions so we get a bit more about the book here, because there is so much to discuss about this book. So this could be part one, guys. All right, so question number one, Rach, is I had to Google this. So was there anything in the book that you had to, well, not you, but Google or look up?
Yeah, this book involved loads of research for me on clinical psychology and like the rules of client relations. Got a really good friend who's a clinical psychologist specializing in trauma, so I checked a lot with her. Things like ACEs, which I touch on in the book, so adverse childhood experiences. This is their real statistics.
Right.
The more you have, I think there's 12, and so the more you have, the more statistically. Um, uh, the more statistically you are likely to, for example, commit a crime, not have a
Okay.
job, you know, and end up in the situations where, you know, Harry, Grace, and Carrie find themselves, for example. And of course, they all score massively on this scale. So yeah, I did a lot of research on that. What about you, Christy?
Yeah. Okay, so there were a couple, but I'll just stick with one for this time because you know I can bang on. The rod of I can't even pronounce it. Asclepius.
Asclepius.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
the rod of Asclepius. Yeah, yeah. It's
The rod
probably
of
on.
Asclepius, which is a
It's a
serpent
medical symbol, isn't it? Yeah.
entwined staff that is a symbol of medicine and healing. So it's associated with the Greek god Asclepius. How do you say it?
Asclepius.
Thank you.
So on that, so my daughter and I had a week in Cos recently, and I didn't realise that Hippocrates was born in Cos. So there's a statue of him in Cos town, and he's holding the rod of Asclepius.
Oh,
And
fantastic.
it was a real huge moment for me. This is what I do to my kids on holiday. They're like,
Yeah.
"Oh my god, she's
Mum.
gonna take a picture of this old bloke who lived like 2,000 years ago. Mum, what are you doing? Look, that's the rod of Asclepius. What? Who are you? Not my mother."
That's too funny. All right, Rach, give me your best character and why. Who stole the show for you?
Oh, it's so hard, but I had to go with my heart, and I chose Carrie because she
Okay.
is so broken. She's desperately trying to hold on, and she made me feel so much when I was writing her. And I think my favorite characters are the ones that evoke an emotional response in me. What about
Oh,
you, Christy?
okay, yeah. For me, it was a toss-up between Alex and Henry. I loved both of them for different reasons. Alex for keeping it all together and being like a puppeteer with her job and the kids and the husband and her best friend Tony and the death of Tony's wife, Monica. So it was a toss-up between Alex and Henry, but Henry, he's just trying to be a good bloke, and he's just trying so hard, and I don't know, I just really felt for him. So they were my two best characters, and that was really hard
Yeah,
for me to try and
Henry
come up
sort of
with two.
encapsulates that kind of wholesome goodness. Doesn't it?
Yeah,
He's just, he's got his own business and he talks to school, gives talks to school
yeah,
kids, and he's just a good bloke. I know what you
yeah,
mean. Yeah.
yeah. But he was also like you could sort of visualize him. He was kind of a little bit sexy as well with his gorgeous
Mm,
smile, and
mhm.
he's having sex with everybody on top of their kitchen counters.
Or if they're not, then they're wanting to. Yeah, the kitchen scene. Yeah, with the cold water.
It's so funny. All right, who's your worst character and why?
Okay, so my worst character is Tony. He's just a complete and utter bellend. Do you have that word in Oz? Do you use that
N
word?
No, no, is
Oh,
he like a
Brits love
bell
it.
ringer in a church?
No. Oh my god, no, it's just a real insult. It's just um yeah, a dickhead. It's like, you wouldn't give him the time of day. He's just a thoroughly, yeah, despicable person. So, but it's just so rounded, like a lot of British insults. They're so rounded, bellend, it just rolls off the tongue.
Okay, yeah, it's a good one. We haven't even talked about Tony. He is such a bloody bell end. Seriously, he's got everything, but he's got nothing going for him, you know? Oh,
This is
Jesus.
gonna be a soundbite. I can see this as a soundbite on Instagram.
Definitely. Oh my god. And
Who's your worst character and why? Who did
has
you love
it
to hate?
it had to be Jeremy. He was just so useless. He was bloody hopeless, and he was so perfectly described in the book, It just I could yeah, like you said before, I could see him, smell him, and he was just revolting, but, so Jeremy was mine.
Oh god, it's just so funny when Tony comes round and Jeremy is like, "Yes,
Yeah,
I can escape to the pool house and drink all day." That's all he wants
ex
to do.
yeah, yeah, God, bloody hell, and, like, none of the kids like Jeremy. Like,
Oh,
none of them, talk to
no.
him, they don't connect with him, and he doesn't understand why, and, it's
Mm,
just like, "Look in the mirror, mate. You're a
yeah.
bloody shocker."
Mm.
Yeah, alright, so what's your favourite quote or scene in this book?
Oh, this is a tough one, but I chose to go with about Alex and her office space where she sees her clients, and she is thinking about her first clients of the day, and it's clients march through the door like a tsunami of suffering.
Mm.
I just thought that really sort of encapsulated the whole sort of trauma behind a lot of the characters. Um,
Mm.
what about you, Christy? Which
Yeah.
have you got? You pick
Look at
one.
Yeah, this one doesn't give away anything in the book, but you'll get to it if you're reading it. It's when Henry's being charged for murder. I just felt so sad and sorry for him, and he could just see there is absolutely no way out of this. Why would
Yeah,
anybody believe me because of
yeah,
what I've done, what my past is, and all the circumstances are just built up against me. But I felt like Kelly Porter needed to be inserted into this book.
absolutely. Because she wouldn't have charged him, would she? She would have
Nah.
seen straight through that. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, she would
yeah.
just see right through that. So that was, one of my favourite scenes. Oh god, I was just like, "Oh no, Henry."
I know it was a real gut punch, wasn't it? And
Oh,
and he just
yeah.
knew. He just
He's just
knew.
like, "I am just
Yeah, I'm screwed
totally
here.
fucked." Yeah, sorry. That's an X-rated version, but yeah, he was screwed. How is this
Yeah.
book I mean, we know this book is really different to the other ones. Tell us a little bit about how this is so different to the other books.
Well, I think I'd been toying with this for a while, like I said earlier, and I think the difference is that with a police procedural like Kelly, there are rules. It's all about the procedure and the hero, or in my case, the heroine, and she gets the perpetrator in the end. So it's very linear, and
Mm.
fans really love that. Sort of, the following that investigation. What's going on with the investigation? What's going on in Kelly's life? What's going on in the investigation? Psych thrillers are completely different. This has enabled me to be a lot more fluid. I could break all the rules. I could have an unreliable narrator. That's why I put Alex in first person and everybody else in third person, because it enabled me to challenge through her thoughts, because I thought that was really important. So yeah, I loved writing it because it just
Yeah.
enabled me to do lots of different things. What about you, Christy?
Oh, I'm
Did you
just
did
making a
what
note there.
stuck out
Yeah,
to you
that's
about with it being so different to the Kelly Porter books?
yes, because I've read, 7 of the Kelly Porter books, and then I read The Rich, and then after that, I've read, The Famous and the Secret Inheritance, and they're also very different. But
Mm.
I think because I just wasn't expecting this style of, the storyline, and, I think that's just what really stood out to me, and of course, the ending and the way it all wraps up in the end is was just so incredibly clever. So I think that's what really stood out to me that was just, so very different to the Kelly Porters that I'd read on The Famous and the Secret Inheritance. So yeah, incredible. Well, and lastly, something funny, Rach. Could be something from behind the scenes, or tell us something funny about this book.
There's a few that sort of stuck out for me, and one of them is James. He's so quiet, but he sees everything, and clearly at 18 he knows everything as well, and gets like I said earlier,
Yeah.
gets a new tattoo and learns a little bit more. But he's got this lovely relationship with his mum, and he watches his father, and he's got his card marked. Um, the other one is this image of Tony and Carrie after they've been for a swim. The police knock on the door and they're sat there dripping from the pool. They haven't had time to change and they're being interviewed by the police. That was just such a slapstick moment that I couldn't resist.
Yeah, and
And then the other
she had
one,
all her makeup down around under her
oh,
eyes, and, she's
you
always
know,
so
you can
polished.
yeah, and you can feel it, can't you? That damp mark underneath her bikini where she's sat, and she's so uncomfortable. And the police are making her feel so small, and and really humiliating her. And
Yeah.
that sort of led on to the last one, which for me, which was because Carrie says at the end of that chapter that actually the detective's name was really easy to remember because his name's Hunt, and it probably rhymed with his character too. So,
Yeah. And we haven't even spoken about him. He's a
yeah,
brilliant character in the book. Oh,
he's so shit at his job.
he's He's no D.I. Kelly Porter. You know,
No, no.
his stinking suit, and he goes into the gym to chat with Grace, and he's just like so
Like, what's
unfit.
this
He's like,
place?
he's like,
Yeah.
oh, better get fit one of these days. And Grace just rolls her eyes at him. It's like, oh, he's hopeless. Yeah. Your humour comes out in the book, Rach. And as I've been reading through the books, I feel like I can spot it now. And I always write in the book, or I circle it and I write, ha, like this. But I'm sorry, there's three things here that I need to say that really made me laugh. One is on page 88, guys, and it's Alex sitting on a box of wine in the garage just to avoid her husband.
Yeah, happens all the time.
Poor bugger. And another really funny thing was it's on page 117, Alex and James. So Alex is folding the laundry and James comes in. They make a joke about mum's big undies. It's so funny. You got such a great sense of humour, James. He's just like giving his mum shit. And then the final one for me was on page 203. And it's Alex. She's saying to herself, I must go to planet Jeremy sometime because he just lives on another planet. So
Yeah.
that was also really funny for me. I just love those three. There's probably many more, but I kind of had to stop.
Oh, brilliant. She wants
Yeah.
to go to Planet Jeremy for a rest.
Yeah.
He does nothing. So it must be lovely.
What a great place to go and just do nothing. Oh my gosh. All right. As we mentioned at the beginning of this episode, we are going to discuss the ending. There will be spoilers ahead. So if you don't want to hear, turn off now or turn off now because the next couple of minutes, Rach and I will be discussing the ending. And if you are leaving us now, thank you so much for tuning in. We hope you've loved this. And if you do want to stick with us, we're going to pop in a little bit of a music break here so you'll know to turn off. And if not, we'll see you on the next episode. But okay, I'm going to stop blabbing on now so we can put in some music. Okay, all good? All right, Rach, please just let me bang on here. I still can't get over the fact that Alex was the murderer. Honestly, I did not see this coming. The entire time I was convinced that it had to be somebody else. Tony, Henry, even Carrie at one point, but Alex, the calm, capable therapist, the mum protecting her children, the one seemingly holding it all together. She was orchestrating the entire thing from like a long way back. This just wasn't something that she just come up with. And what's so brilliant is that it wasn't even a crime of passion. It wasn't heat of the moment. This was something that she had planned for years. The detail planting evidence in Jeremy's computer, using his dementia and alcoholism against him, cleaning up the scene, the coat stand from France, puncturing poor old Monika's lung, dumping the evidence at the tip. It's just so clinical. She even puts on Jeremy's hat like she's stepping into character to finish the job. It's almost theatrical, that scene. Also, don't forget the massive reveal of her pushing Sarah off the building. I mean, what the actual... but what really got me was how much she justifies it all through the lens of motherhood. The Serengeti photo, the lioness protecting her cubs, it keeps coming up time and time again. I think it's the last line in the book that she, it is. By the end, she's absolutely clear she'd do it all again. It's dark, it's clever, and it's so well executed. It's one of the best reveals I've read, and I just bloody well love this book. So it's 10 stars from me, Rach.
Oh, Christy, that is, do you know, I've got tingles just listening to you talk about the book like that. I mean, one of my books that I've created, and all of the things that I wanted to pull off and thought were absolutely impossible. And, you know, you've just sat there and said that, yeah, you totally got it. And it just makes my heart absolutely sing. It's amazing. Thanks for that, Christy.
Oh,
Honestly,
you're so
it
welcome.
just means
Thank
the
you.
world. And you just immersed yourself in the brokenness of these people, but you also you understand why, you know, that they're broken, and so, you know, you get the motives behind all of these people, even Alex, even though it's absolutely shockingly despicable and cold and calculated, and it's if she has no there is just no emotion there in some of her calculations. She sees the way, and she fearlessly goes for it, even if it involves murder, because she's protecting her kids.
Yep.
um I said earlier that this was the first time I'd saved the reveal until the very last minute, and I held out until I think it was the second to last chapter, where it shows the car that she got into. It was Alex that was driving. Then it was like, oh my god. And this was the most controversial thing about the book, because I had some people who said, you can't have it, you can't have Alex doing it, and then others were like, you've got to have Alex doing it. And so the thing about anything, I think, that anyone writes, is the best advice that I've always been given, is that you just go with what's inside. And my gut was telling me that it had to be Alex. And it went through all of those revisions, going back and forth, a few disagreements, but I went with a version that I'm happy with. And I think it's given the way the story develops all the way through, I think that ending is the most authentic. She was manipulating everybody from the beginning.
Oh god,
Like you
yeah.
say, she was the puppeteer in her therapy sessions. She knew Henry's past. She knew he'd be written off by society. She knew that she could gaslight Carrie and make her out to be crazy. She knew she could pin it on them. What she didn't what wasn't in her plan was Brandon's death.
Oh,
That was the
right.
fly in the ointment, and she had to think on her feet. And so that's why she did the deal, with the detective, who was
Yeah,
crooked. She could see that he was crooked and bent, so she knew she'd get away with that as well. But yeah,
yeah,
her planning, her plotting, the way that she was able to manipulate everybody, and that line at the end, yeah, I'd do it again in a heartbeat.
yeah,
Um, so
yeah.
that was the most natural outcome for me at the end.
Wow, it was just so clever. It was just all the people weaving together and coming to the end, and it just was such a clever, clever book. One moment was just popped into my head was when she killed Monica in the pool room. She cleaned up, and then Monica was like bleeding out and dying. Anyway, she tells her to get in the boot. And
Yeah,
she gets in the boot, and then by the time she comes back, she's dead. Once she's
yeah,
finished bleeding out, I was just like, "Oh, that is just awful."
it's really chilling, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah,
And this
yeah,
woman has got all of the qualifications. She knows exactly how the human mind works. She can tell, just because of her expertise in human behavior, that she's going to get away from this. And she actually says, doesn't she, in the book? I must find it, and we'll put it on Instagram. But she says at one point that criminals are usually stupid. Because they always get caught. And at
yeah.
that moment, the reader doesn't know that it's her, and she knows she's getting away with it. She just sees herself as above everybody else, doesn't she?
Yeah, it's interesting reading the book back, knowing what the ending is and going through it as thoroughly as I did this time with different eyes. It takes a different spin, so I can really recommend that too, guys, if you go back and reread it again, but you know what the ending is. And also at the very, very end, when you're kind of doing the epilogue wrap up, she's going to, do some TEDx talks and write a book with Carrie and Henry. It's like she's still like
Yeah,
they don't know that she's the
yeah,
killer, and,
yeah.
now she's gonna be
She's got
making a profit from it. It's just like, far out. How can
yeah.
this woman just,
And then
I think
there's
oh
that
wow.
line at the end, isn't there, where she knows she's got Henry in her back pocket, because they're beholden to her now forever.
Yep.
Because it's because of her that they got off, and they don't know that she did
No,
it. But she's got, she says, there might come a time where I need a scrapper
that's
like
it.
like Henry on my side. So now she's got these people owe her.
Yeah,
So
and
she's
she
got
knows that
other.
yeah, and Carrie needs more, like, she needs more therapy, so
Yeah,
she's
yeah, she's kept the receipts.
Yeah,
Yeah,
unreal. God,
yeah.
so good.
Oh,
We
thank
actually
you, Steve.
we could
No,
keep talking
I
more,
know,
but,
I know, and I think that what a fantastic episode, and I think that just we need to leave it there, don't we? Because
we do.
yeah, that's just a great place to leave it with that ending. And thanks for listening because this episode has been brilliant. I've loved it.
It's been fantastic. But so I actually really enjoyed this little section at the end because I need a little bit of therapy from you. So thank you.
And I know a good trauma specialist. I'll put you in touch.
That's her name, Dr. Alex Moore.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. All right. Remember, guys, you can find us absolutely everywhere on Spotify, Amazon Music, YouTube, iHeartRadio. So hit follow, subscribe so you never miss a killer episode. And if you've got any thoughts on today's episode, drop us a line. We read them all and we're replying from both sides of the hemisphere. So, how did you enjoy this episode, Rach?
Yeah, loved it. It was brilliant. And your questions were absolutely fantastic, Christy. Just loved, hearing your feedback and your synopsis was epic.
Good.
And we're going back to Kelly Porter next time, aren't we? We're going to be talking about number 4, Bitter Edge.
That's it. Yep, that's coming up next. Okay, guys. That's all from us. We'll see you next time on the Killer Storyteller podcast.
Bye.